It's Friday.
Yeah, Friday, y'all.
Here we go
Yep.
again. Another Friday.
Yeah. We was a little late, had some little technical issues, but we here.
Yeah.
And we just gonna those that have been following, we're gonna be doing the opening of this child abuse case. And we went over information before, like some of the pre-trial hearing information, but we didn't stay on it. But so we're actually gonna start digging deeper into the case. We're gonna start with this opening. And before we get started, I was gonna play this video, then we're gonna roll right into the notes.
Okay.
So just hold on for a second, everyone. Play this video.
Dr. Phil, the torture she endured trapped inside Ariel Castro's house on Seymour Avenue for 11 years.
Another Cleveland woman went through something similar and watched the interview today. She spoke with News Channel 5's Michael Baldwin, who joins us now.
Yeah, her name is Laura Cowan. She was held captive for 6 months when she lived in L.A. She watched Michelle Knight and said she felt like she was reliving her own nightmare.
I told her that everything that happened.
Tears rolled down the face of Laura Cowan as she watched the interview with Michelle Knight. She herself is a survivor of rape, starvation, and being held captive by this man, Mansa Musa Muhammad, who held her 2 children, and another family of 3 captive in a 3-car garage in California. The year was 1999.
A lot of similarities. Yes, from the food, the torture, the treatment, everything. The 3 women in the home, the whole works down to being raped, because I was raped right in front of my own kid.
Muhammad is the father of 19 children and a self-proclaimed Islamist polygamist. It's reported that he hung some of his kids from the ceiling and beat them, forcing them to eat their own feces. Cowan and her children were held for 6 months.
Because they watched and saw so much, and they can hear the screams. They saw me being beaten. They saw me being stabbed.
She says her son, who we are only showing his hands, was the most tortured. And while in captivity after the repeated rapes, her family would grow.
I had my 2 children, right, by a previous marriage. And when he raped me, I was pregnant, just like Amanda was. And that's his daughter.
The daughter between Cowan and Muhammad sat beside us. Muhammad got 7 life sentences for what he did. On Newsnet 5 right now and on our Facebook page, you can hear how Muhammad made Cowan dig a hole in the backyard of his house and how he tortured one of his own sons. Live on your side.
Like I said, the more and more you look at video clips and all that stuff, it just that things get worse. And it makes you want to bust your butt to work, harder. Just seeing that stuff that she put.
And you're right. She said that Musa raped her when she was pregnant.
While she was pregnant.
Yeah, while she was pregnant. Ain't someone hanging children from the ceiling? Come on, then.
Yeah. And then making children eat their feces. And we're gonna get in deep discussion about that one later on in the show. And then also talk about Mr. Ruffin, Joey Ruffin's clip of him being on this podcast talking about that Lords told him that Musa made it a ritual.
Yeah. And also in that clip right there, he said he did to another family of 3. What is he talking about in the home? Another family of 3? Like what? As if it was just Laura, her kids, then Adrian, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? Like another, like her children, but her son. We know, like we've been saying, those that follow us, that Laura's son wasn't in the home. Musa didn't do anything to her daughter because we did her testimony.
It's exaggerated. I was looking at a video before we get into more. I was looking at a video earlier today with Lakeisha, me, Sharon, and you on it, and Lakeisha had went into depth concerning all 3 of Laura's children how they weren't abused,
Mm-hmm.
and how a lot of the stuff that Laura has said that she's exaggerated it. And so I was looking at that May 5th, 2025 video. So that was
Yeah.
about an hour and a half video. So you guys might want to go and look at that video. I was looking at it earlier, just gathering more stuff and looking at notes like we always do and trying to dissect, stuff. But the clip you just showed a few minutes ago, the state that he made her dig a hole, um, that's just taken from somebody else's story because there's no transcripts and we have all of them and we've been through them and still got more to go through stating that
Yeah.
she ever made to dig a hole. And I'm trying to figure out, why are you digging a hole and not taking care of your children? you know why are you digging a hole?
Yeah. But
Like,
we.
you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't even take care of your kids, but you would go outside and dig a hole. And I'm just like, it just don't even make sense, the stuff
Yeah.
that she's.
But saying yeah. But we're gonna get to all of those things that we've been talking about up here. We've
Hmm.
been getting into the files. We're gonna really get into like we said, we're gonna start the opening, and I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff in there concerning Laura as well. But some things we're
yeah,
gonna like not, word for word. We're just gonna go through
yeah.
it
Because
piece by piece, little here,
quite a
because it's a
yeah,
lot. It's a lot.
we got quite a long show tonight, and we got, this is gonna be what, a two-parter.
Yeah,
So
we'll
this is
probably
the
do a part
opening.
two, even three, because I know we have a
Yeah,
lot of information. Because I know over the weekend we went over a lot of
yeah.
it was just a lot, and I was just trying to. We were both talking how we can break it down and just get through it.
Hmm.
Get to the main parts to where they talked about Laura and stuff that it's crazy, y'all. We're gonna get to it. I don't even want to mention it until we
So
get to it.
yeah, so we're gonna get into the opening of the trial. So we do have two parts here
Yeah.
that we're gonna get into, and we're gonna get into the first part, get into the next part next week. And like Richard stated, some stuff will be, you know, reading, some stuff will be um, stopping and explaining, and it's gonna get really deep tonight. You know, the situation. So we're going into the opening of the trial, meaning I guess they're getting prepped, all the witnesses prepped,
Hmm.
um, getting a list of witnesses together, figuring out what will Musa be charged with and what he won't be charged with.
Okay.
So we're gonna get into about, I say, what, 10 pages,
Yeah.
and then do some side notes. So I'm gonna be reading from some transcripts here. So this is April 21st, 2008. The defendant, who is Manta Musa Muhammad, is in court. He's present with Mr. Morales, his attorney, and present with Julie Baldwin, who works for the state of California. And then also there's a judge present, Judge Hitler. And so he's the referee between those two um, attorneys that's refereeing what's going to take place during this trial. So we're going to get started, Richard.
All right. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, so the judge asked Mr. Muhammad, do you agree when your trial would be timely if we could start it next Monday, April 21st, sir? And Mansa answers by saying yes. The court, who's the judge, he says, okay, all right, then we'll show that waiver for the trial until Monday and his waiver of his presence for the hardship declaration for Mr. Morales. I actually do hardships by declarations, jurors filling out the forms, and Mr. Morales says, okay, very well. And then the judge says, okay, I understand. Is there a Marsden that needs to be addressed? So Mr. Morales states, Your Honor, Mr. Muhammad had filed a Marsden, and we would like to have that heard here this morning. So the Marsden is a report that was filed based on an appeal that he didn't agree to all the things that he was being charged with. So he was doing an appeal on his own case to get the case overturned and get all the charges dropped. So that's what the Marsden was. And if you want, you could go back
Mm-hmm.
and look um,
We did a
on this
video with some
channel.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did a video on a couple of them. I think
Yeah.
what, two, three parts, I think.
We did about three, I think. Maybe
Yeah.
three. Yeah.
Yes. For the Marsden report. Okay. So for right now, the judge states, okay, to Mr. Morales, that is sealed. So then Ms. Baldwin step in, and if you would be so kind, she state, as to step aside, and then we'll bring you back in. And so she says yes. Okay, so the judge state, actually, Ms. Baldwin, before you leave, do you would you like to join in that continuation until next Monday? And she states, I just want to make sure our record is clear. So that was the opening of the trial. So we're going to go ahead and get started, where the judge says to Ms. Baldwin, good morning. And she says, good morning. Okay, I plan on bringing up Mr. Morales. Miss Baldwin, do you both agree that we'll time qualify to June 3rd, not including deliberations, or do you think that's too much? And so Mr. Rowley states that he thinks that's probably would be okay, and it's safe to say for the long run is realistic. So the judge states, so you both agree June 3rd is fine. And so Mr. Morales states yes. Julie states yes. The court, the judge states, so when I do my declaration next week, I will tell them what the charges are and what he's entered and what his plea is of, if he's guilty or not guilty. The trial is expected to last until June 3rd, not including deliberations. Now we're going to be dark the 28th and the 29th of April. I will not be here. And then, Miss Baldwin, did you say, and Mr. Morales, did you say you had days you wanted to be dark? Because my client is going to put that in the declaration. So Mr. Morales states, Your Honor, the week of is okay. And Miss Baldwin states, mine is the 22nd, 23rd, and 27th, I believe. Okay, so Mr. Morales, are those the dates for you? And Mr. Morales states, Your Honor, did that include the Friday before? And he states, yes. Well, we're not going to be in session during that time. So here we are. We're going to get into it now because we're going to go into details of what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tuesday, April 22nd, 2008, Marietta, California, before the Honorable F. Paul Dickerson III, Department S. 304, the courts. Let's go on record in the Muhammad matter. We have Mr. Morales, his client, Mr. Muhammad, and Miss Julie Baldwin for the people, which is the state of California. Good morning. And everybody states good morning. So the
But hold
judge,
it, hold it right quick. Hold it right quick. Laura said she brought charges against Dad.
no, the state, clearly, the state
Yeah.
brought charges against him. And to Tracy Potts, I hope you sitting watching us and being
Yeah.
educated on what real transcripts is. These transcripts don't sound like a bedtime story like you made up and was reading and defaming and slandering me and my siblings about some crappy stuff that you said out your mouth that was untrue.
Yep.
So let's get started. Now you can learn a lesson here, and you can also learn from all your many jobs you got,
Yeah.
because we got many of them too. Okay, so uh, the judge speaks. All right, I've read and considered your motion in Lamite.
Mm-hmm. Don't
I've
worry
read
about
and
that.
considered your motion in Lamite. Um, regarding uncharged acts. So let's start with that and we'll break this down. So they're going to get into Uncharged Act. Your first request, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that you want to admit uncharged acts of sexual abuse. Is that correct? And Ms. Baldwin says, yes, Your Honor. And then
Hmm.
the judge said, okay, and that's as to, and I'm not going to mention my two sisters' names because we've spoken about it before, but
Yeah.
that's to two of our sisters because for a lot of reasons, I'm not going to mention that. And is that correct? And so she says, yes, that's correct as to two of his daughters. Yes. And which counts do those two? And those are two of his daughters. Is that correct? So Ms. Baldwin states there are two of his daughters. They are not named in this case as victims yet because we haven't decided on how the filing will go. They didn't disclose a number of the victims in this case yet, but there is a lot of them. Until after the preliminary hearing was called in this matter, Your Honor. So the court, which is the judge, he says, all right, so they're not in the information as of yet. No, not now. They're not until we finish deciding how we will charge him.
Mm.
Okay. But I do anticipate that they will testify based on their observation to things they saw happen to their siblings who are named victims due to the fact that they are victims as well. So there will be victims' names named, and those are Mr. Muhammad's 12 children that lived in the home. Okay, so they'll testify to what the personal observation of what kinds of acts the defendant carried out against them. Is that correct? Yes, things that he did against them. And the judge asks, and in addition to that, you want them to be able to testify to any sexual abuse that they suffered at his hands. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Do you want to be heard? The judge asked, and Ms. Baldwin said, I made a few remarks in my brief, Your Honor. I would reserve further comment subjects to what defense counsel or the court has to say about it. Now, as we're going through this, there are no charges. Remember, this is the opening of the
Hmm.
trial. There are no charges discussed that he was convicted of any rape or sexual abuse concerning Laura at all. We're talking about two other victims who are our sisters,
Hmm.
in this case, that he's going to be charged with.
Yeah, and see, and that's why I wanted us to talk
And
about
that's
that
why,
part because that video we opened up with, she talking about she was repeatedly raped by him, but that's not true.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to be heard? And she states, and I'm quoting this again. She said, I made a few remarks in my brief, Your Honor, and I would reserve further comment subjects to what defense counsel or the courts has to say about it. Okay, and then the judge said, well, none of these charges involve um, sexual allegations. Am I correct? She says, yes, they do. And the court, who is the judge, he says, okay, I just want to make sure maybe I was missing something. And she said, no. So the judge states, the court's inclination is now to allow sexual abuse suffered by these two girls at the hands of the defendant because the court feels under 252 he needs to be charged for the acts that he did. There are other alleged charges. Obviously, you have torture, child
Hmm.
abuse, and you have children being starved. In my opinion, I would allow all of these witnesses to testify, and I will approve that all these charges be filed against Mr. Muhammad on all of his children. Observation made, and then in addition to that, to say, oh, and he sexually abused me as well, it would be inflammatory. So at this point, while we are bringing the jury in, I don't want them to hear that just yet because it is horrid conduct that a father would do to a child, which he will be convicted on. And I
Mm.
don't want to cause any further dangers to the victims until they testify and bring forth evidence of what he did. Yes, Your Honor. So therefore, I'm going to allow this a 252 issue. Also, obviously, the acts are not similar because we're not talking about um they got this scratched out. We're not talking about blank. Here we're talking about physical abuse as well. And so Mr. Morales steps in and he says, "Do you want to be heard?" And Mr. Morales says, "Your Honor, I learned a long time ago. If I'm winning, not to say anything. I'm assuming that I'm winning. I would just object on the 252 grounds and straight relevancy grounds they are." Okay, Mr. Morales, they're both these allegations are unrelated. I mean, this section is unrelated to the charges that are set forth in the information. And as the court simply pointed out, it is so prejudiced and it is irrelevant to the facts surrounding this case. It doesn't go to elements of torture. They're not named victims yet in this particular area. So how do you file a 352 on those grounds?
Mm.
So the judge states to Mr. Morales, and I will allow the 352 on those grounds because of the testing of both of those victims and the physicals in those cases that were taken according to medical records. Any mention of sexual abuse by those two daughters is included. The courts feel that it should be included to show the things that Mr. Muhammad did to these children. Okay. Mr. Morales states, Your Honor, I would ask in addition that the various officers that are testifying in this case are at least admonished not to broach any of these subjects with reference to the sexual allegations. Well, again, I state again, I will allow it, and I'm sure Miss Baldwin will talk to her officers about this. The problem would be if the jury hears about Mr. Muhammad committing sexual acts against these girls. Obviously, that would really bring up a mistrial. I'm sure by you. How do you put that back in the bag once the jury hears about the physical acts? Now it's sexual acts. I think Miss Baldwin, they ought to be maybe people that testify need to be very aware that this case is not about child molestation because that's what this is. This is about physical abuse. And so Ms. Baldwin states, yes, it is about child molestation because it was physical. And so the judge states, I think Mr. Morales, you're incorrect, and we will go on to
Mm.
allowing it in the case.
Okay.
So remember, this was allowed in there, and he was charged, but it was a charge of torture
Yeah.
because of how long it went on and the things that he did. But I don't see anywhere in here where, I mean, because if Laura said that this stuff happened to her, like stuff we read about that she said that happened to her, this would have been grouped in there as well, what she said, and it's not. So the judge says, all right, let's go down to the next issue, domestic violence with regards to Laura Cowan. And she is charged where in court. And so Julie Baldwin states she is the named victim. Well, I anticipate, Your Honor, that she would be able to testify to witnessing abuse of some of the kids. Okay, why are we mixing some of the kids with Laura Cowing being a victim? This is not about Laura Cowing. This is about the kids. Well, Your Honor, because she is a named victim, so are her children. Well, why are her children named victims and why is she named victims? I need to know specifically why. But specifically, she is a named victim, I believe, in 6 counts, which 4 counts was dropped of the 273.5 and one which I believe was a 236. Okay, so the judge says, all right, can you point? Because I've read some of this stuff and some of it doesn't make sense. And so Mr. Morales says, Your Honor, I believe it starts on count 19. So it was count 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And they dropped counts 21, 22, 23, and 24, which is 4 counts. Okay, so counts 19 through 24, 11 of those counts are separate allegations of child abuse on Mr. Muhammad's children. Is that correct? Yes. And I would like to exclude Miss Cowing out of this and speak more about Mr. Muhammad's children and what happened to them and how they suffered. Okay, but first I would like to state, and she says yes, and then the judge said, suffered by her at the hands of the defendant. Is that correct? Is that what you're trying to say? And then the judge states, and the judge states, and the other additional charges to that were dropped. So I will not be adding any charges, Ms. Baldwin, but only those 2 charges, which are felonies that were dropped to misdemeanors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those were the specific acts. I believe the ones that I have listed, Your Honor, in January of 1996, there was an incident where defendant had slapped her across the face. So Laura is claiming that Musa slapped her across the face, causing her to have a split lip. The defendant has asked the defendant had asked the defendant for medical care, and he refused to take her to the hospital. Another incident a couple months later, when he became angry with her because her son from a previous relationship, Ahmed, was having issues with respect to being potty trained, and he became angry with Miss Cowan because her son continued to urinate on himself. As a result, he ended up pushing her to the point where she hit her head on a wall. She received a large lump on the back of her head and had a headache, which she says lasted several days. And then, in addition to that, several months later, July of 1996, and make sure you're taking notes on this because this will change fast as we read it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in addition to that, several months later, July of 1996, the defendant had hit Miss Cowing several times in an unprovoked attack in the back of her head with a closed fist. And the judge says, okay, these incidents are in that general time frame. It looks like, well, you charge him August 1st of 1996 through December 31st, 1996. So these dates just don't add up. This just don't seem right. Are these made up dates? So Ms. Baldwin states these predates those alleged in the information, Your Honor, and they are close in time. And I believe that the court exhibit by the defendant is very similar in the incidents that predated those charges. Those that I anticipate Laura Cowan will testify to with regards to the charge acts of domestic violence from August. All right, Mr. Morales, do you want to be heard? And so here's Mr. Morales. He states, Your Honor, I would like to be heard on that briefly. Count 19 alleges a 273.5 August 1st of 96. Then we have another allegation on March 31st. Now, that would be count 20. Count 21, June 1st of 96. Count 22, March 1st of 98. Count 23, January 1st of 99. And count 24, April 6th of 99. How did she come up with all of these dates of June 1st of 97 when social service was at the home when social service was at the home June 2nd of 97, and there was no wounds that appeared on Miss Cowings as they investigated. So count 22 was dropped. March 1st of 98, there was a social service officer at the home as well, and there was no wounds found. So that count was dropped. Count 23, January 1st of 1999, and count 24, April 6th of 99 was dropped. So how was he arrested April 6th of 99 and he hit her?
Mm.
Do that add up? Do the math
Nope.
add up? And then Julie has total different dates. She has August and September dates. She has no March. She has no June. She has no January and no April dates. She has total different dates. And this is why going through a preliminary hearing that the judge is not buying it because the dates look like they was made up.
Mm.
Okay. I anticipate, and this is Mr. Morales, he said, I anticipate Miss Cowing will be on the stand for quite some time, and she's going to be testifying to at least 5 to 6 instances that are alleged in this. And what we're talking about is additional areas of direct examination. I would just interpose a 352 objection, undue consumption of time versus probative value, going to testify during this period of time she was beaten repeatedly by the defendant. And these are just a couple more examples of that if somebody was repeatedly beaten, that they would hold bruises on their body when individuals came out, such as law enforcement, to visit over 12 times the home. There was no evidence found. So I'm going to ask to drop those charges. And I don't believe that that's probative and justified in the amount of time that will consume in order to allow prosecution to go into that. And I would submit it myself. And so the judge said that he would drop those charges. Okay, the court, let me ask you about count 19, Ms. Baldwin. Is that how this is? The evidence is going to come out that just like him beating her constantly during this period, is there a specific date? Because we've got all of these dates all over the place and they're too close to each other that law enforcement would not see any of these bruises on Miss Cowing. So she states it's only one act in each of these counts.
Mm.
So, get into that when she states it's only one act in each of the counts. But didn't Mr. Morales just say that she said that he repeatedly beat her all
Yep,
the
sure did.
So this is what I'm saying. How contradicting, this is. Okay. She said she doesn't know the actual dates. She just came up with these dates off the top of her head. And the judge said, and we can't allow this, Miss Baldwin, for Miss Cowing to just come up with dates off the top of her head without any evidence or documentation. Therefore, I'm dropping all charges except for count 19 and 21. And so she nods her head. So 11 specific acts I want to go into on the children that lived in the home. Miss Baldwin, 11 specific acts, and then 2 were where she's not really certain of the dates, but things it's in this general time frame that's the what is it deleted in each of those counts. All right, the court rules as follows. I'm going to allow Miss Cowing to testify, but I'm not going to allow any of these dates because these dates do not match up at all, and these would be made up dates as hearsay with no evidence. It's clear that this does not follow up under our jurisdiction. So I'm going to clear under section 1109 that the evidence is admissible, that it serves the legitimate legislative purpose in assisting the trier of fact in judging inevitable credibility contest. Obviously the defendant has interpleas of not guilty. She's going to be taking the stand and her credibility is going to be at 0 because there are no pictures and there is no evidence of these beatings or bruises. And this is the issue, Ms. Baldwin. And this section clearly allows this kind of evidence is subject, of course, to 352 is the issue. I don't think Mr. Morales, it would take an undue consumption of time. And we're talking about These are going to be specific acts, by the way. So you are on notice as to what would be allowed. That in January of 1996, he slapped her across the face, causing her lower lip to split. Wouldn't take an undue consumption of time. If he has broken her skull, if he had broken her skull and disfigured her somehow, that would be different. But I don't see him slapping her in the face and her testifying to in January 1996 that she had a cut on her lip without any evidence when there is overwhelming evidence on all of the children in the home, Mr. Muhammad's children. But here, that act really isn't so inflammatory. The jury would be prejudiced by that, and it would cloud their ability to decide the other charges. As far as the rest of her proposed testimony, you want Ms. Baldwin, and the court is going to decline your request to allow her to testify to the fact that he refused to pay her medical care.
Mm.
Okay, and so I'm gonna get through about 3 more pages, uh Rick, and then
Yeah.
we're going to get down to our side notes. Okay. So, um, she says, okay, the courts, which is the judge, he said that's just not relevant to 1109. What's relevant that the court feels is just make him look like a bad guy is what I see is going on. There's no proactive value when we look at a 1109, which goes to specific acts of domestic violence as identified in 13700. So, just not going to take you to the doctor because I don't like you, that's not relevant, Miss Baldwin, to say that he split her lip and she asked for medical care and he said, I'm just not going to take you to the doctor. And she came up with the date of January 1st, 1999. So
Mm.
the actual act will not be allowed. The second act, July 96, the defendant hit the back of her head with with a closed fist. Again, no indication that any neurologist or any permanent damage was done to Miss Cowing or any temporary damage was done to her, and that he inflicted anything on her. So I am not going to allow this in court.
They
And I
just make they just she just making up
Well, I
stuff.
mean, you hear what he said. That
Yeah.
I mean, when you read this, and we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
get deeper into this, like I had told you, when their auntie Julie Baldwin is charging him with all this stuff, it makes you think, looking at her and then reading this stuff, like we said before, we're not taking up for him. We know
No, we're not.
what,
Yeah.
and he knows that. He knows that because he's verbally heard all of us, because
Mm-hmm.
he's discussed some of those things with you. We're not taking up for him. We know he was wrong for what he did. But what we're saying is that Alora was an enabler in the abuse. She brought herself into that home and she
Mm-hmm.
saw it day one. If you go back and read watch May 25th, 2025 video, you'll listen to me, Sharon, and Keisha speak as to how Laura came into the home and everybody thinking in the back of their head, do she not see the things that he's doing to all of us? And you're still going to stay with a guy that's beating up and doing inappropriate stuff to his daughters. She stayed
Still
with
had the
him.
child with him. Still had a child
Yeah,
with
and
him.
had a kid with him.
And,
And
and, and
he,
on top of that, like we said in the previous video, she was pregnant before by him, and that's in the files too. We're
yeah,
gonna get to.
yeah. But the thing is that the other thing that's confusing is the clip you just showed. I looked
Mm-hmm.
at that clip several times, but it
Mm-hmm.
clicked in me, and I think it
Mm-hmm.
clicked because by us reading this, she had been saying in the media that and told her daughter this, which I think is horrible. What
Mm-hmm.
she said to cover herself from cheating, that she was sexually assaulted, and I had a child by him. But yet in another video, she's saying that he raped her while she
Mm-hmm.
was pregnant with her
Yep.
daughter. So how did those two things happen? How did those happen? It just don't even make sense. I mean, we weren't born yesterday, and this ain't Mr. Bojangle Circus either. So this is the third act that he's not allowing, and so he said he's going to throw it out. And so Mr. Morales says, Your Honor, is the court making a ruling on March 9th, 1996? He said, well, the ruling is thrown out. July 1996 and January 1996, as well as July 1st, January 1st, 1999 is thrown out. I will not allow this because this doesn't look right, that a picture is being painted that he was just a bad guy just punching and beating her around. And was Miss Cowing a legal wife? So Miss Baldwin states, no, she was not. They all were intertwined in some type of polygamous relationship. And there was one from March 1996 too, Your Honor, right at the top of the page in March of 96, the court. So the judge says, okay, I'll allow in the conduct that he pushed her and hit her head on the wall, causing a bump, but still I can have her testify against that, but I will not have him charged for that because there is no evidence of her seeing a neurologist or that she suffered any issues. There is not even a scar on Miss Cowing or a scratch. This is nothing compared to what I've seen concerning the children living in the home. I'll let you be heard on this one, Miss Baldwin, if you want. The reason that he did it, I think, is too inflammatory. I think it's going to overshadow the act that why did he do it? Well, he was mad because she was not beating her child enough, and that was why he was continuing to urinate on himself. So he pushed her into a wall and she fell and hit her head. I'm still not going to allow that because I don't believe that that is something that actually happened and it's not written in the letter. So you can see that the reasons for pushing her head into the wall, hitting her head on the wall, was because she wasn't beating her child enough, and he continued to urinate on himself. That is inflammatory and very prejudiced because I think that that overshadows the actual act. And so Mr. Morales said, Your Honor, do you hear this? She states that Miss Cowing was pushed into a wall because she wasn't beating her child enough. Yet Mr. Muhammad was beating his children because Miss Cowing told on the children on several occasions. And some children stated in reports that she told on them all the time and had them beaten by Mr. Muhammad. And then she recorded several cassettes of the children being beaten. So why didn't she record these beatings of her son? You know why she didn't record them? Because he wasn't making her beat him. She was beating him herself.
Yeah, and he wasn't in the home all the time, so it's like
That's
it
why
was.
she didn't record it.
Yeah, because he wasn't there majority of the time. He was
That's
somewhere
why.
else. Yeah,
And so the judge said, I don't think the jury will hear any of this. I don't want to hear any more of that. I want that cut out, and I want to focus on what happened to these children in the case. There's a long history of Mr. Muhammad abusing children, and I want to speak about that, Your Honor. I would agree with the courts on that. And this is Mr. Morales. And in addition, it's just replete with opinion. This was the reason for this. This was the reason why the child continued to have problems. But beyond that, I mean, it's extremely inflammatory and it's not probative. And the judge said, I agree. And so we will not speak on this and I will not allow it. Miss Baldwin, you can decide how you want to do it. I'll allow in the fact that he hit her head on the wall, causing a large lump to the back of her head, and she had a headache. She can testify against that, but I will not be charging Mr. Muhammad with this count. And then Julie Baldwin said, Your Honor, I would just say the reason why I was arguing that it be admitted. She's trying to treat this like this is a domestic abuse case.
yeah, yeah,
And he has to consistently tell her that this is about child abuse, child torture. And I'm not going to turn it into a domestic abuse case because, like he said, it wouldn't look good to the jury. She said, and this is the reason why I wanted it in anticipation that in some of the charges offense and in some of the photographs we will be that will be present, and the way in which I anticipate that these witnesses, several of them who were living in the garage area of the home, will be talking about how they had to urinate. But Ms. Baldwin, domestic abuse has nothing to do with living in another area of the house or how they urinated. How do we know the urine in the bottles was even female urine? Was the urine tested? How do we know that was even urine in the bottle? So I will throw that out. How they had to, and then I wanted to make sure I add how they had to make sure that their children were able to urinate. But didn't you state that the children were in diapers? Yes, they were. So why are we talking about children urinating in bottles? Like I said before, Laura was going in the bathroom, urinating and bringing the urine out of the bathroom and pouring it in bottles, because it's going to be more in this report about things that she was doing. It don't make sense, because any female know that you can't urinate in a bottle. And if you got children in diapers, like the judge said, how do you know that it was female or male urine? Did you test it? How do you know that it was even urine in the bottles? Then when you look at the bottles, this is a person that said that she was starving.
Yeah.
It,
It was
but you had
Pepsi.
Pepsi. You
Yeah.
had Pepsi. You had
Yeah.
Dr.
Tea.
Pepper.
Tea. It was a lot of stuff up there.
She had Dr. Pepper. She
Yep.
had Pepsi. She
Hmm.
had honey bottles.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
types
Yeah.
of
That
stuff.
was it.
She had all types of stuff. And she says, and then it says they were denied access to a bathroom. And I do believe that the potty training issues with respect to the kids, that they were forced to live in the garage, and is going to become relevant. So that's why I asked to bring it in. And that's going to come in under which charge? The potty training and the defecating charge. I'm not going to allow it again, Miss Cowie. Well, the named children in that, I don't know how off the top of my head which count or how to charge him, but one of the children's name is Ahmed Shabazz and one name is Miriam Shabazz, are the children of Lord Cowan, and they are both victims as stated in the charges. And I'm going to drop the charges on he made the two children defecate in bags and urinate in bottles due to the fact that they both were in diapers. You stated that there were soiled diapers in the garage in a bag, right? Yes, of course, Your Honor. Okay, so I'm not going to allow that. So this is what I'm going to allow. I'm going to allow the children of Mr. Muhammad's case to be heard on torture charges, and I would like those victims' names as soon as possible. Yes, Your Honor. And then the judge says, okay, well, and again, that's a charge count on all of Mr. Muhammad's children. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt with Lord Cowing that he did those things. Right. And that, of course, is probative and relevant. But to just go through it again, that's why he hit her head. This is what Julie Baldwin said. Again,
Hmm.
I think I'll revisit the issue depending on the evidence that um adduced trial. But at this point, I'm going to throw it out because it doesn't make any sense and it's not accumulative to what the other children have been going through for years. Okay. And so
Hmm.
now let's move to, we gotta talk about our mother, but I'm not gonna mention her name. I'm not gonna mention the name. Okay. Yes. Okay. And those, let's see, which counts um to Mr. Muhammad's wife. Let's see, is not. She's a co-defendant, Your Honor. I'm sorry. There's a legal wife and she's a co-defendant. Okay, I'm looking at B at this point. Is that correct? Yes, right. So that's the defendant's actual legal wife. Yes, she is. I'm sorry, she is She is not a victim in this case, but she is his legal wife. It was Laura Cowing who was a polygamous wife. And where is she in the process in this case? Well, she already pleaded, Mr. Muhammad's wife. She is going to be a witness against him. Okay. She has not been sentenced yet, but she has pleaded. Okay. 9.5 years ago, Mr. Morales states. Okay. All right. So the judge states so she's there in the police report, and he states there's a child and there's Mr. Muhammad's wife, and one of the wives is Mr. Muhammad's wife, who is the legal wife. Yes. Okay. So this is his wife. She pleaded, correct? Yes. Is she in custody? No. Okay. And you want her to be able to testify to being abused throughout her marriage. Is that correct? Yes. And this goes to what? The 1109 for the named victim. This, I believe that Ms. Baldwin said this. I believe that this goes well. Yes, I do believe that because she is a witness to virtually all of the children with the last name Bodie. I'm anticipating that she is going to be testifying as to what she witnessed happen at the hands of the defendant, and also probably talk about how she was complicit in some of the abuse that took place in addition. But I think that's what's relevant about Mr. Muhammad's wife being able to testify about prior acts of domestic abuse. I will allow Mr. Muhammad's wife to testify on her own behalf according to what she saw happen with her children and what she did to her children and then what she went through. But I do not want her testifying and explaining that she was complicit. Do you hear this?
Yeah.
But she can explain why she was complicit. But I don't want this to be a ruling that she was complicit or she was made to do these acts because she did not intervene in order to stop the abuse because she herself was also a victim in this. That's why we had her as a victim. But Ms. Baldwin, this still doesn't make any sense to make Mr. Muhammad's wife testified that she was complicit in children being abused and not make Laura Cowing testify as being complicit when she has police reports of her abusing her children. And Adrian Easter, that goes for her as well. I don't want these women testifying to that they were complicit in not stopping child abuse and did not intervene. How would that be relevant for this case? Because she pleaded. She already pleaded guilty to abusing the children. So how was she complicit? And then Mr. Muhammad's wife had 6, 7 other children in another state in which one of her children was given to his parents to be raised by the parents. Is that correct? Yes. And then the other children were placed in foster care. Why was they placed in foster care? Because again, after all of these years, she was continually complicit. We will throw that out. Should we go to a commercial?
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Commercial break.
Okay, so let's get into some side notes.
Wow, that was a lot.
Let's get into some side notes. Okay, so what do we want to start with first, Richard?
Hey, you got it. You got it. I'm trying to wrap my head. You know, just you rereading that. I'm sitting there just jotting down some notes for later.
Okay, well that's good. Okay, well I can roll this. Remember, we can do this. Okay, so we're gonna get into Laura Cowing talking about after we just took that big old break out of court, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna get into Laura Cowing talking about children having a ritual that Musa placed on his own children of eating feces. Now, all the smart people.
Okay, which first of all, which notes that for that one, so I can make sure I'm on the right one.
Okay, so we're at the
At the
bottom,
bottom. Okay, okay, okay. I
way
see.
at the
At the
bottom.
bottom. Okay,
Black.
cool, cool, cool.
So we're going to talk about when Mr. Ruffin was on this channel speaking
Mm-hmm.
almost a month ago. And he stated that Lord told him that it was a ritual that Musa had going on with children eating poop. Now,
Yeah.
let me tell you this
Yeah.
personally, some medical information about myself. I've never suffered from any E. coli disease,
Mm-hmm.
any hepatitis A, B, or C.
Parasites and all that
So,
stuff.
to the smart people out there in Cleveland that has been sitting around listening to this bull crap, we're going to give you a lesson on this, okay? When you make anybody, and not just children, eat feces, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of health issues can
Come
happen.
with that. Yes.
There's physical health risks.
Mm-hmm.
Ingesting feces is dangerous because humans
Mm-hmm.
and animals'
Animals,
waste
yep.
is loaded
With toxins.
with
Yep.
toxins, including bacteria and viruses and parasites. Okay? Intestinal infections can happen, parasites can happen,
Mm-hmm.
gastrointestinal distress can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, intestinal infections is a high risk of bacteria infections such as E. coli or
Yep.
salmonella and viral infections such as hepatitis A.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. All of us had physicals leaving that home and we had clean tests. None of us suffered from any of that. And I've never in my life, nor did our father ever do anything like that. And it was no ritual. This is some crap made up by a person that's sick in the head.
Exactly.
Laura Cowing, she made up this crap. It's a lie. Like we stated to Mr. Ruffin, this happened to 3 of our siblings, and this happened at a toddler age. And
Yeah.
thank
And,
God,
and the thing, they weren't eating it. He was trying to choke it down their throat. It wasn't like they were sitting around, oh, I'm gonna eat this. No, it wasn't like that. He was choking it,
it was
trying
a
to choke
threat.
them.
It was a
Yeah.
threat.
It was a threat. Yeah.
That's what it was. So she never visually saw this happen, and she knows nothing about it. A
Nope.
lot of information that she has came up with, this lady right here, Julie Baldwin, that's on that screen, you a dirty character. And I'm going to say it right now. To sit up and say that you're an attorney that cared about families and children, she didn't give a damn about none of us. What she cared about, from what I'm reading, is making this a domestic abuse case and blacking all of us out and tarnishing all of us. This is why we going so hard and we speaking about this stuff, because this stuff, now this is foul. This is really foul that she would even tell somebody, oh, it was a ritual. It won't no rituals going on. The only rituals was going on is what was in her made up head.
Yeah. Only ritual that's going to hurt telling Musa on everybody all the time to get beaten.
Exactly. Now that was a ritual.
That was a ritual.
When she was telling on us, enabling the abuse all the time in our home, that was a ritual. So, and then parasites. Ingesting feces can lead to intestinal worms like pinworms or giardians. Gastrointestinal distress symptoms include severe nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramping,
Mm-hmm.
diarrhea, and subsequent dehydration. None of
Yep.
us suffer from that. And psychological consequences from that happening to somebody, you can suffer severe anxiety and PTSD from the emotional abuse. It can lead to unending anxiety, fear, and long-term post-traumatic stress. It can lead to behavior issues too, long-lasting psychological disorders, including the development of the compulsion to eat feces. So Laura,
Mm-hmm.
if you're watching this,
Yeah,
you
she
can go
watching. She
ahead,
watching.
put the ritual together, and when you're ready, in your sick head, you can invite everybody in Cleveland to your feces party. That's what you can do. Because you are a compulsive liar. So I'm gonna go back to the top because I think we cleared it up. Don't you think? You feel much better,
Yeah,
V?
we really cleared
It
that
out.
up.
We got
We cleared that up finally.
it out. Yeah, we got it out. So we're gonna go up to the next topic because we was reading, these transcripts. We're gonna go up to the next topic. Okay, this is the opening of the trial dated, and we're just going through a couple of notes from what we read. So this is the opening of the trial dated May 22nd, 2008. So before we begin, this is the opening of Mansa Musa Muhammad's trial. We would like to establish that Richard Zirkle was the first person to testify in this case because this is the opening of the case. And Laura Cowing and her children, Miriam and Ahmed, testified next. Throughout the process of going through these transcripts, we have found a lot of unexplained flaws in this case. Like, for example, biasness. Okay. Number two, purposely, I believe Julie Baldwin was giving Laura information on our preset private quarters and giving her knowledge of what our mother and what our siblings was saying behind closed doors. Auntie Julie, no matter what the case was, she seemed like she was building this case to be a domestic violence case, and she was
Hmm.
building a friendship with Laura because the way that they speak about her.
And
So
the reason why she's saying Auntie Julie and Uncle Rick is because that's what Laura's kids call them.
yeah, they
Yeah.
call Julie and they call uh what's his name, Mr.
Rick,
Orko,
Circle. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Mr. Zirko.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they call him their uncle and their aunt. Now,
Yep.
don't you find that to be biased? None of us call them auntie or uncle. So that's odd.
It
That's
is.
that's really
Yeah.
odd. And then you know what I find odd too? We know our father, he got this type of head where he'll sit, he'll think about things that could possibly be happening. But when I saw it myself on Anderson 360, this Richard Zirkle had the audacity to come out on Anderson 360 with Jane Velez Mitchell, and Laura had a little tear running down her eye. And he hugged her, and when he sat down, he was holding her hand under the
Under the
table.
tape. Yes.
Yeah. And I wonder what the heck was going on that you was holding her hand. You didn't hold none of our hands. When you saw us in that hotel room, you didn't hold none of our hands. You didn't call for help for none of us. Julie, you didn't hug none of us. You didn't hold none of our hands. You didn't tell us to call you Auntie Julie, that you would be there for us, nor did Rick Zirko. You know what he was too busy doing? Cussing us out,
Yeah.
threatening us,
Yeah.
scaring us. You
Yeah.
know what he was doing? Acting just like our father. That's what he was doing. Like Mike mentioned in the video, the man kept scaring them and threatening them. And then my other thing is, why did you have all of our minor sister and brothers in custody talking? They didn't even have no legal counsel.
Nope.
They knew exactly what they was doing. And then when they took us 5 teenagers from that hotel room when they arrested our mom, we didn't have no legal counsel at all. They just played us like our father did. Because see, know what they did? They learned about us.
Mm-hmm.
They learned about the psychological abuse that we all had went through. And so they took the psychological abuse that our
And
father
used it
did,
against you. Yeah.
and the system, which is Julie and Zirko,
Mm-hmm.
flipped it and they used it against us. When we got to talking and crying about, oh, we want to see our parents. No, we don't want to tell on our parents. We don't want them to get in trouble, get them another chance. They didn't mean to. Oh, we're hungry. Okay, well, let's go get these physicals first, because they wanted the evidence. And then they walk you past a room filled up with a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts, Kentucky Fried Chicken,
Pizza.
McDonald's, sodas, chips. Oh, what about that over there? We're hungry. Well, let's go get these physicals first.
Then you can eat.
Then you can eat like our father would do. Don't tell daddy beat you, or he
Mm-hmm.
starved you, or he did this to you. Because if you tell when they leave, I'm going to beat you again. But if you don't tell, I got
I'm
some
gonna feed
candy
you.
for you.
Yeah, I got some candy. Yeah.
So this what I mean by how they flipped it on us. And they know exactly what they did. And if they can live with it, they some sick people. They can live with it. They sick.
They sick. They helped her out. She, like I said,
Yeah.
they did documentaries with her. I mean, come on now. They sick.
Yep. I mean, Mr. Zirko, he mistreated the actual family
Mm-hmm.
that this happened to, and all the young teenagers. He took an adult over children. Took her word for everything, everything. Not giving us a chance to speak. Anything they came up with Laura, you know what they told us? It's not about her. We don't want to talk about her. Anything that came up about her. And
And
whenever,
that's what Julie was doing when you was reading all that. They was doing. They was trying
yeah,
to enter all the information in, but there was no evidence. So the judge
yeah,
was throwing it all out.
yeah, she was really contingent. She was like, yeah, but this, but this, but this. And then she was comparing what happened to us to a grown adult that was 43, 44 years old, made a decision to go lay with a married man that had a legal wife and 13 children while she was legally married with a husband in federal prison and had 2 children. And she gonna sit up there and lie and say she didn't know him. And she knew him.
All that's gonna come out as we keep going forward with this case. Everything's gonna come out. Everything.
This
This ain't
might be
it,
a
y'all.
public
This
story.
ain't it, y'all. Y'all think this bad? It gets worse. This ain't it.
Yeah. And then the other issue is not allowing victims of violent crime to view evidence or giving us transcripts as directed according to Marcy's law, hoping if they hid it, the statute of limitations will run out. Guess what? There is an exception to every rule.
Oh yeah.
And my question is, why would you cover up letting us have our own life story? That's
And
another red
you know me. I was asking y'all for years, like, why don't y'all go get this, go get that? And I didn't know that what you was going through because we were talking, but at the same time, I didn't know you were going down there like that. I was talking to some of my other siblings and everything, and hey, just blocking everybody.
Like I told you, I mean, I have documented this stuff for like almost the last 14 years. I mean, literally begging this lady for transcripts. And either
And that's
I,
Julie.
yeah, Julie,
Hmm.
Julie Baldwin,
That picture right there, her. That picture right there, y'all her.
either my message will go to her voicemail and she wouldn't answer. She never called me. She never called me. I always called her. So I was on it. I always called her. If I didn't call her, I was going down to the Marietta courthouse where she was stationed at, or I was going to Riverside, driving there and asking. And I can't tell you how many times me and my husband have been to the police department, to those two DA office. I'm pretty sure they got us up on camera that we consistently went down there and we was told we couldn't get none of this evidence.
But they gave it all to Laura, and she used that uh, for social media to get money and all types of stuff.
Yep. Y'all allowed this lady to use all of us. And then after she used all of us, you want to tell us that they're lawsuits.
But they allowed it.
But you allowed it. And so you're a part of those lawsuits. Don't worry. and do enough time, you're gonna get your papers handed to you. And then speaking of the DA, meaning district attorneys, um, like we was reading in the transcripts, Julie worked for the state, not for Laura Cowan. So Laura did not press any charges against our father. It was up to the state to press the charges because actually, without even reading these transcripts, Laura was an impeachment witness. And an impeachment witness is a witness that's not credible. And that's what she was labeled. And I was told this at the DA's office last year in May by one of their office managers that why are you worrying so much about her lying and making up stuff? She was not even a credible witness. And guess what? It's dead in them transcripts. That she was a impeachment witness because things that she said, it didn't add up. And she know it didn't. She was trying to do the most. She was trying to do the most. And then I was looking and I was like, in that video, she said, and I was starving. And
that lady didn't miss a meal.
Like Sharon said, and like Keisha said, and I stated in that video, we never saw her miss a meal. You talking about us testifying as to when they asked us both sides, the state and Mr. Morales, our father's trained, did you eat 3 meals a day? No, we didn't. But guess what? They never asked Laura, did she eat 3 meals a day in her transcripts? Because they can look at her and tell that she ate 4 or 5 meals a day. Because that's how she looked. And she was always eating. She was going to eat before her kids ate. She was going to eat. Matter of fact, she would be eating when nobody else in the house would be eating. And then you're talking about in your testimony that our father would eat foods that he liked, that was enjoyable to him. You and him they was at the movie theater eating a ham sandwich. And she told on them. She told on them in the transcripts.
Musa, you a Muslim? What you doing eating that ham?
Sandwich. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. I'm just telling you, it's a little. Don't be so hard on yourself. When I say that, I say it to all of us, all our siblings and myself. There's light at the end of the tunnel. There's light. It is, and I'm just saying, everybody have their chance to speak, and I'm saying, this lady done went and spoke for us too many times. I'm like, you ain't gonna speak for us no more. You ain't gonna speak up for us no more.
That's why I was so, just glad that we got, these transcripts. Of course, we know the story because a lot of us, all of us lived it. Then plus y'all in the home in California, so we know the truth. But I'm glad we got the transcripts to go along with what we went through to explain it in full.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if you're listening, if you're watching, and if you're listening, or you just joining us, don't just look at this video. Do some research. Look at all the videos. Because it's gonna get deeper than this.
Trust me, y'all. I know we keep saying it, but every time I'm telling you, every time we do a video, it's gonna get, especially with Laura. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Musa too. Musa stuff will be
and the
crazy.
guest that we got lined up that's coming up here, it's gonna wow everybody because it did it to me. It's gonna be something else. It really is. It's gonna be something else. So I'm just saying things that Laura say out of her mouth. I mean, you guys, you can Google this stuff. Nobody can practice a ritual of eating feces. So it'll kill you. It'll kill you. If it was a ritual going on, none of us would be alive. None of us would be alive. And I'm just like, it's just coming from a sick person's mind. A sick person's mind. That's why one of the juries, I'm going to mention this briefly. One of the juries in this case, when she testified to that, stated that they didn't believe it, that they didn't believe what she had said. Because you know why? Those was people that was sitting up there. Someone was doctors,
Mm-hmm.
someone was nurses, and guess what? Someone worked for Homeland Security and the FBI.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. We
That's the
read
crazy
yesterday.
part.
We going.
That's the crazy
Mm,
part. People that was in the jury box.
mm,
And then it goes, it's a lot. It goes into things like arguing about trying to charge him with kidnap, things
mm-hmm.
that she was doing. I mean, she was literally their boss. She she was Julie and Detective Zirko's boss. That's what I looked at because she was literally pushing everything on them. And his did we get to his testimony yet?
Nah, we're gonna do that.
Yes.
Remember, we're talking about yeah. His was crazy. We read
That
through, but
testimony is
because
crazy.
he's the first. He's the first one up.
Crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy. It's crazy. And Dr. Phil, I want Dr. Phil to know this is that Laura lied about a refrigerator not being in her room. And
because Zirkle he talks about that. He
yeah,
mentioned that in his
yeah,
testimony.
yep, yep. So,
Yeah, y'all
like I
go
said,
back and watch the Dr. Phil show. Cause see how he was sitting there. He was trying. You could tell he was like. I think he was nervous if y'all was going to say something off like way out there to, to, to get him caught up.
yeah,
He was staying away from certain topics, like with the refrigerator and the rape stuff. He was staying away from that.
he was sitting up there on the Dr. Phil show. I wanted to say something to him, but I said, no what? I'm not even gonna say that. I started to say this dude was cussing us out.
Mm-hmm.
He was cussing us out. That's what he was doing. And telling us, and then telling us we was going to jail. And like Keisha was asking him for what? We didn't do anything. That was the and do they realize when they talk about false imprisonment and stuff, that was false imprisonment what they was doing. They was telling us to go back to hotels that we did not want to be in and threatening us, telling us we was going to jail or that we did something wrong. That's why I said they're no different than him. They're no to me. And I know the good people. I'm not saying everybody, but these two people in my head, they the only two that stick out. They the only two
And there
because
was
of
like what,
how
like
hard.
15 that over the 10 years, 9 years, like 15 different district attorneys tried to try this case.
15 district attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
He ran through so many attorneys. He might have had 20, 30
Mm-hmm.
attorneys. Um, they just couldn't get it to go to trial. And like I told you, one of the DAs that me and Lakeisha met with, you was on the phone last
Mm-hmm.
year, the
Yeah.
beginning of last year. He just said that every time he came across our case, he would scratch his head. That he would scratch his head because it was just so many children. Mom and dad had so many children. And he just said that the testimony that was put together and how there was people not present, people that was present, how everybody was saying the same thing. And of course, all of us gonna say the same thing because we experienced. But that one right there,
Yeah.
she was mocking everybody. She was mocking all of us. I guarantee you right now that any show that want to reach out to us and talk to us, that call her out and put her on the stand, and she gonna hide like a wimp because she knows that she's went to the media and she's lied. She knows that she went to the media and she lied. She couldn't even sit and be deposed and be asked any questions because all she gonna do is lie.
Yep.
She gonna play the old lady syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
She gonna play, oh, I got dementia, I don't remember.
Yep. I'm
Oh,
telling you, it's coming.
I got high blood pressure. I don't
Yeah.
remember. Oh, I suffer from PTSD. It's gonna be a lot. Know why? Because him and her
Just the light.
together, They just alike. She's no different from him.
Yep.
She reminds me of being his twin sister because they got like they got like this they got like this intertwined connection of being so evil that they actually should have been put together.
And
Not our
here's the crazy thing. He will not sue her, and he can do it.
yeah, yep. He's been told that. But it's just crazy because you know we're living in a time right now, and it's a crucial time right now with the system. And anybody can say anything that's hearsay, and people just buy it. And
Yep.
this is what I was looking at with Judge Dickerson and Judge Hitler were putting together this start of the trial. How are we supposed to bash this person? We know he a bad guy,
Yeah.
okay, because what he did
Hmm.
to children. But how are we supposed to intertwine more like she was one person and he was doing all of this stuff to her? And then you got all of these dates that don't add up with police reports. And see, that's what I was saying 2 weeks ago when we did the show with Ahmed's testimony.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That
You was
the
going through all
times,
those dates.
yeah,
Yeah.
the dates, because I wrote down all the dates. The dates
Hmm.
don't. I mean, I wrote down the dates too. I can remember them in my head. The dates don't add up. Now you got January 1st of 1999. He punched you in the head, and then he beat you repeatedly all day long. January 1st of 1999. But yet the next day, social service and the police was at the house, and you telling me that you didn't have no black eyes, busted lip, like the judge said, none of that?
You wasn't locked in the garage.
Yeah,
It was in the garage, first of all.
you didn't have none of that.
Hmm.
And I'm saying people aren't, these judges, they're not stupid. They do their research, and I'm pretty sure Julie and Mr. Zirko did their research. They know deep down in their hearts, they know in the back of their heads, they know in their guts that she was exaggerating and that she was making up lies. They knew that. I know they knew it. If they went to school to be police officers and to be attorneys and to own law firms, go on TV shows and make up stuff for her, they knew she was lying. They knew it. And then it makes me wonder, what do she have on both of them? Because you got two law enforcement agents that's befriending somebody on TV shows and behind closed doors. And
She
so
wasn't even a victim, and wasn't.
you never know if she told them that if you don't do it, I'm going to tell them you guys told me to say all of this. You
You
just
never
never
know.
know. You never know because you know why? She told Musa what she was going to do.
She sure did, and she did it too.
I'm going to tell on you.
Hmm.
If
And
you
it's
don't
and
do this, I'm going to
mhm.
tell on you. And she was telling my uncle, I've been documenting everything he's been doing. And you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing.
But okay. I don't want to say this part if it's not in our notes for tonight
Hmm.
about that video. I don't want you to mention it right now, but about that video, is that in your notes for tonight?
Can you put a little small clip out?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't know if
And
you was
we're
gonna
at
talk about it tonight.
123.
Yeah, I didn't know if
We're
you was gonna talk
almost,
about it tonight.
yeah. We can.
Yeah, why
Or we
not?
can do it next week.
Why not? I
Yeah.
already put up a short. Why not?
Yeah, you put up a short.
Yeah,
Okay.
why not? Yeah.
Okay, so there is a recording, a camcorder recording that actually it was 6 camcorder
Hmm.
recordings
Hmm.
because this lady kept turning on the gas. Laura, I'm talking about in the house. She was consistently doing that. And so to the point when she would turn it on, mom would catch it on. Sometimes Tiffany would catch it on, or you could just smell it. Or Dad was so afraid she was gonna blow us up when she come out the kitchen. He would ask her to let him know when she come out the kitchen, so his wife can go in there and cook, and the gas would be on. And so he would get on her about turning the gas on. He would tell her, "I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to take my family out. That's what you're trying to do." So he decided to record her. And so on that recording, she's recording saying that she'll blow all of us motherfuckers up in the house. And Julie suppressed that information because they didn't want it to come out. Because if it had came out with the jury looking at that, he would have had a mistrial. They would have been like, nah, they two peas in the pod. And it's a lot. We this is not just what I just said out of my mouth. That is not it. There's a lot of things that she did and a lot of evidence that they didn't pull out of the hat on her because they looked at her. Oh, she wrote a 23-page letter, 26-page letter.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, and I'm going to keep saying it, and I say it all the time, the lady testified that we hate her. And I'm going to tell you this. I don't like you, and I ain't never liked you. From day one, you came into our home. And you know why? Because you was doing bad things to your own kids first. And then you started watching him do things to us. You started condoning it and enabling it. Then it went from there to her playing head games, triggering him, knowing how he was already, triggering him. Your kids went in my refrigerator, like Mike stated in that clip, that you had a refrigerator, Laura, in your room, your refrigerator. And we would always go in there, and I'm quoting them because this is what he said, and we would always go in there and steal food. And you would go tell our father on us so he could beat us. She didn't deny it. She just sat there. And Adrian didn't deny it. Adrian testified that she did that
Adrian
herself.
is the other so-called wife, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing I look at is that the story got to be told right, and the truth got to be told. No more lies. And people's feelings that we've been harboring inside of us, they're going to come out. They're going to come out. They really are. Because the thing is that when she went to Lifetime and they did this movie, they took it too far. That was like the last straw.
Yeah, it was.
That was
That
the
was
last
it. That was
straw.
it for me.
That was the last
I was
straw
already pissed
for
off,
us.
period. You
Right.
know? But that right there just took it to a whole nother level for me. And I'm like, I'm done with this.
That was literally like the last straw. And seeing all of us talk about it and how hurt everybody was, because even though our father did what he did, don't nobody want to see that stuff broadcasted like that. And we didn't broadcast none of that stuff. Mind you, none of us spoke to any media. They had media outside the courtroom during the trial, and we coming out. None of us spoke to them. This lady was speaking to the media before the trial even started. We got clips, newspaper clips, articles, all types of stuff, things she was doing. She was really working, getting ahead of everything to try to sabotage us. So, like I said, we got more, so much stuff. I mean, if you think in the beginning when we started off, that was something.
Oh, this nothing.
This is nothing. That right there.
We was reading stuff in there. I did not know all this was going on. I mean, they got me all up in there. What stuff was going on with me? We're gonna talk
Just this
about.
weekend,
Yeah.
last Friday, getting off work, reading
It's
consistent
just yeah.
hours, all day Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
reading off and on,
Sunday,
taking
just
break.
yeah.
Sunday, all day, texting back and forth, talking, calling during the week, and I'm just like,
So what we're doing, we're trying our best just to put it all together. I know, I believe we're doing a good job at it, and trying to really put everything together and present it. So more's coming.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah. We didn't even get through the notes for tonight, so I'll be on part two.
And plus, we didn't read this entire packet because we
Yeah, we
still
didn't.
got we still got 40 some pages, so we might be a 3 because
3, yeah. That's what we're gonna do, y'all.
even through our side notes, we didn't get through all of our
No,
notes. So um, we still got that to deal with.
yeah. So,
So it's a lot.
yep.
So um, yep.
We'll be back next week, y'all. Next Friday, we're gonna do some other videos as well. So this summer we're really gonna be grinding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
yeah.
a long, hot,
Yes.
interesting summer.
So
Filled
everybody,
with
yep.
so many guests.
It's coming.
Uh
It's just trying to get it all arranged. We're gonna do it.
yep.
Yep. And like I said, every episode, I say, come back, y'all. Come back and look,
Mm-hmm.
follow us as we go through this case. Because I mean, we're
Yeah.
gonna go through a lot. I
It's a
mean,
long,
and
long,
I'm
long,
telling
long
you,
story.
y'all want to be here when we go through Laura's information. I'm telling y'all, going to be here for Laura's. You want to be here for our moms. You want to be here for Musa and Adrian and the detectives and all those people. You want to be here as we go through that.
And more social workers
Oh,
and
sure. Yes.
psychologists, doctors,
Neighbors. Yeah.
even neighbors. Oh, and I want to mention this because we didn't get through this. In May of
Mhm.
1999,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not gonna say where was that, but Laura was in California
Oh,
because he
yeah.
was arrested April 6th of
Mm-hmm.
99. And Laura was still in California of May 99. And somebody, I forget the guy's first name, but it's here somewhere. Somebody by the last name Adams reported her. Now she didn't live in our home. This was after Musa was arrested. Somebody reported her at a hotel she was staying in with her children for abusing her children in May of 99. And it's in these transcripts. So when we get ready to get to the second part, we're going to read all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So I hope her children tuning in and don't ask us why we doing this because this is our story and we're going to tell it. Your mom been dragging our family for the last 20 something years and not telling the truth and not even telling you guys the truth. Just lying to you, you know? So what happened there?
Mm.
You know, and this was during the trial. She was doing this stuff during the trial process.
All right, everyone. There you go.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Join us. It's a wrap. Join us next week and follow us. And like I said, follow us, subscribe, share it, everything, and just come back.
Yeah.
Everyone have a good weekend.
Good night.